Good morning, everybody. My name is Halona Black. This is our regular Wednesday AM meditative writing circle. We are a Black women's writing group where we learn how to be able to use our journaling prompts and various questions to be able to help us with our own personal writing. It could be for your books, your social media, your or just for yourself. If you just want to be able to write for yourself, that's also wonderful as well. So we always start with a short meditation just to be able to center ourselves into the circle. So I always start with turning off the video just because I like to be able to focus, for us to be able to take a moment to focus inward and not what's on the screen. And you can sit wherever you are and put your feet flat on the floor. You can sit straight up if you can, just to a point where it's comfortable and not so much that you feel any pain in your back. You can place your hands in your lap, over your knees, or wherever it's most comfortable for you. And you just start to breathe normally. And as you breathe normally, we'll just start to today we'll do a body check-in to see how our body feels, starting from the bottom up. So as you're sitting, check in with your feet. Put your attention on your feet. Notice how they're feeling. Are they feeling cold? Is there any sort of pain or stiffness? Have you ever taken a moment to notice what your feet feel like? From your feet, you move up through your ankles, your lower legs. Stop and take a look through your ankles and your hamstrings, up to your knees. Do any of your muscles need stretching? Just continue to breathe normally as you recognize where how your muscles are feeling. Move up towards your thighs. As we notice what our thighs are feeling like, we move up towards our hip, towards the belly. I like to give my belly a rub in the morning, from left to right. From the belly all the way up to your chest, out towards your arms. Maybe give your shoulders a good shrug up and down towards your ears, just to wake the body up a bit. Bring your attention towards your neck, through the muscles in your face. Place your hands on your cheeks. Move them around a bit just to say hello. All the way up towards the top of your head. And when you're done, you can give yourself a warm hug, rub your shoulders and your arms. And when you're ready, you can bring yourself back to the circle. Hey, Kathy, how are you? All right, so today is we are doing what are we doing? We're talking about self-trust today. Self-trust is our topic for today. Tree, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, lady.
Glad to see you. Today we're talking about self-trust. So what does it mean to trust yourself? Trusting yourself means having the confidence in your own abilities, judgment, and decision making. And it's about relying on your own instincts and believing in your capacity to handle situations, make choices, and navigate through life's challenges. So as always, I kind of break the topic down into three separate parts. So today I have three separate pillars. The first one is around authenticity. Authenticity means being true to yourself and your values and acting in ways that align with your principles and what feels right to you rather than just conforming to others' expectations. And being authentic is part of what brings about your own sense of self-confidence and self-trust. Um, so our first journal question of today centers around the topic of self-confidence or feeling assured about your skills and who you are. It's about recognizing your strengths and acknowledging areas for growth without self-doubt. So our question is, if you can take out your notebook and a pen or whatever it is that you use to write, is around your voice of confidence. How do you speak to yourself when you feel confident? And what I'd like to do is to give your confident voice a name, if you don't already do this. Give your confident voice a name and describe what she sounds like. So we're describing our voice of confidence. How do you speak to yourself when you feel confident? And then I want you to give your confident voice a name and describe what she sounds like. I'll put the question in the chat so you can see it for yourself. And I'm going to put 8 minutes on the clock. 2 more minutes. Okay. So the question is, how do you speak to yourself when you feel confident? Give your confident voice a name and describe what she sounds like. Is there anyone in particular who wants to go first? And for people who are new here, you're not necessarily forced to share. You share if you'd like. Yes.
I'm happy to share.
Yes.
Do I need to introduce myself?
Well, sure. You can tell us your name if you want to tell us where you are. That's wonderful.
Okay. I'm Katrina or Treen. And it feels so big. And I'll say this briefly. I'm so glad that I was going through my emails and I was like, I should join because this is what I need right now because I'm just completely scattered. Right now, I'm in London and I don't want to turn this into Treen's group therapy session. So I'll just, as much as I want to, I'll just say a little bit about what I wrote. So
Mhm.
I have named my confident self Tessa.
Mhm.
And Tessa sounds authoritative, but not arrogant. In command, someone who'd be sought out for advice. Tessa is able to figure things out, like logistics in a foreign country, because she has the smarts and the wherewithal to figure things out. Uh, she speaks intelligently and articulately and is not intimidated in any space. Tessa's friends love her company and always want to include her in their plans. People look up to her, but also find her approachable. She fits in everywhere and is a friendly face that people remember. Tessa is a whole person with or without a partner or significant other. Tessa is simply wholly self-possessed.
Mhm. That's beautiful. I love that. So when you say Tessa, is it a voice or is that who you become?
Uh,
Because you said Tessa has friends. I love that.
you know what it came from? It was
Mhm.
when I was feeling cute a few months ago when I had big hair up until just a few weeks ago. And I was like, Tessa is my main. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay.
that's as deep as the explanation for Tessa is.
Thank you so much. I love that. Tessa. I like that name. Is anyone else
I'll share.
raring to share?
I'll share.
Yes, Kathy.
So, I'm Kathy for new people. I'm Kathy and I'm in Porto, Portugal right now. And my voice, um, I am direct and assured when I am confident. My voice is unwavering. My tone is at a lower register in that it sounds at ease and comfortable, deep and clear. My confident voice is named Serene. That's it.
Serene.
Serene.
Mhm.
I looked that up. And the meaning of it. So it's, yeah, serene.
I
And it's
like that.
more soothing as opposed to,
Mhm.
you know, hard or,
Mhm.
yeah.
And you said that Serene speaks with you said a lower register. Is that the words that you use? So is
Yeah,
that mean like a deeper voice?
a deeper voice. When I'm calm, I speak probably at an alto, but maybe yeah, I think speak in a lower voice,
Mhm.
lower tone register.
Mhm.
It's not high pitched.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not squealing when I get upset or when I don't feel confident. It's there's a tone of you know, it's up here, you know, it's screaming. Although I don't have a high-pitched voice, when I'm unsure, unconfident, feeling uneasy, that's the register is higher.
Mhm. I think that's true for a lot of women.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. So that's good. That's good self-awareness to know that you speak at or Serene speaks at a lower register and sort of like a take control voice, without being mean or harsh.
Will share.
Sure, Lakeisha.
Yeah, I live in Atlanta, and this one was a bit challenging for me just because I have just recently experienced a major life transition that I was not expecting. And so I feel like my confidence is shaken a bit right now. And so it was really challenging at first. But what I realized is that a lot of what I wrote was outward facing. And
Mhm.
so I wrote that my confident voice sounds sometimes like a know it all, sounds opinionated, self assured, knowledgeable, matter of fact, direct, and no nonsense. But I was feeling a lot of tension, right? And so I was like, I feel like I need to create maybe a persona for this confident one since I really don't feel that. So I created a persona and I asked myself, how would this confident one speak? How would I like her to sound? How would I want her to sound if I were to take on her? And I wrote warm, compassionate, knowledgeable, and clear. I want her words to matter so that each one serves a direct purpose without being abrasive. You can hear a smile of self assuredness in her voice. And there's a tinkle to her voice when she's speaking. And that's when the time was up. And then you restated the prompt. And I was like, oh, I initially went into this with the first question: how do you speak to yourself? But none of what I wrote had anything to do with how I speak to myself. Everything that I wrote had something to do with how either I feel like I think I sound to others or how I
Mhm.
want to sound to others. So I actually want to go back and really dig into how I'm speaking to myself.
Mhm. Because there's a difference. There's the confident person we want to pose as on the outside, but there's also a small voice in the back of the head. At least there is for me. When I imagine my confident, it's not even that I'm imagining it. It's just like this involuntary person who just sort of pops up when I need extra confidence and tells all the other people to sit down in the back of my head. And so I just have learned to recognize who that person is. I call my person Betha.
Yeah.
Yeah, Betha. And so, you know, when that version of it's a version of me that sort of stands up in my head. It's, I guess, the bravest part of me that stands up, and tells all the other people to sit down. And I notice when she starts to speak, my back is just a little bit straighter. And so I'm able to sort of move forward with whatever it is, that I need to move forward with at the time. But yeah, but it's good to be able to learn who that confident person is, or, you know, if it's not necessarily confidence that you want to be able to call on, notice who the different people sort of who they are when they pop up in your mind when you're speaking to yourself, and notice if they're kind or not. That's probably the most important thing that is, to note, is that are the voices kind that you're listening to? Because for me, it wasn't always the kindest person that I was, listening to. I would give more to the fearful, voice, um, in the back of my head. So thank you for sharing that.
I like
I
to
would
share.
I would like to share.
Sure.
This is Cynthia. I really hate that I don't have my camera on, but the lighting is just very bad where I'm at. Anyway, I'm here in Chicago, and what I wrote is my confident voice sounds powerful and self-assured. She
Mhm.
focuses on my beauty and the fact that I can do it, whatever it is. She thanks God. She praises God because it's only because of Him that I can do what I do. He has gifted me mightily. My confident voice's name is the Queen. I
Mhm.
always feel good when others call me queen, especially men. She sounds warm and affirming as well as reassuring. I love her.
All
That's
right, the
it.
queen. Your confident voice is the queen. I love it. The queen takes court. I love
Yes, and
it.
that's
And
exactly how I was thinking. I'm in command, I'm in control.
mhm. Excellent. She takes over. And you love her.
Yeah,
I think that's important to state too, that you love it when you love something, it has a tendency to want to come back and it sticks around.
and it's been a journey. Um, I wasn't always, the queen was not always the voice.
Mm-hmm.
It took some time. She was there, but she was muted or suffocated. She was
Mm-hmm.
always trying to break out.
Yeah.
And as I've grown and matured, she's grown and matured.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
I like to share.
Yes. Do you
Hi,
pronounce your name Is your name Fati?
it's Fati, yes.
Mhm.
I prefer that.
Mhm.
Uh this is my first meeting. I'm calling from Colorado, and I am so looking forward to being like the rest of y'all. I'm looking for some place to go also to live. So outside of the United States. Um,
Welcome, Fati.
thank you. Her name is Truth. Um, my voice is soft. Hang on one second. Okay, my voice is soft and feels like she's in the back of my head. She's patient and gives me time to process. She's like a best friend. We don't fight, we just chill. I rely on her call. I rely on her because when there are times I need to or shouldn't talk, she steps in and says it. There's a feeling of satisfaction with my inner voice. She treats me with grace.
She treats you with grace.
Hmm.
I love. And what when you say she treats you with grace, what does that mean?
There's no outside judgment.
Mm-hmm.
There's it's just her and me. So
Mm-hmm.
she's kind to me. You know, she's a kindness.
Mhm.
it's a kindness that's inside and a grace, just a that feeling.
Mhm. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love these responses. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to move on to the next question. This one is about resilience. So resilience is believing you can recover and learn from mistakes or setbacks. Trusting yourself involves understanding that making mistakes is part of growth and not letting them define your potential. So our question for today is, I'm asking you to reframe a past failure. You know, think of a past failure. It could be recent, far past, big or small. But how can you reframe it as a learning experience that has contributed to your resilience? I'll read it again. Think of a past failure. How can you reframe it as a learning experience that has contributed to your resilience?
Mhm.
About 2 more minutes. Okay. So we're writing about our resilience. We're thinking about a past failure and how you can reframe your past failure as a learning experience. How has it contributed to your resilience? Anyone would like to share? Yes, true.
So the first thing that came to my mind was how I processed the breakup with my former partner that happened in the early months of the pandemic. I had a lot of shame about it in that it felt like I sold myself short and maybe him as well in, things that I put up put up with, so to speak, in the relationship. But having all the time to think during the pandemic because I didn't have anything else to do. I guess I came to see that we added value to each other's lives. And we were together for 8 years and it was mostly good. We traveled together and I have him to thank in great part to being able to continue to travel and, have live like I do now, even though it's far from perfect. And every day I'm like, oh, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? But I think maybe the greatest takeaway is that I don't heap coals on myself about quote unquote mistakes or failures. But again, I haven't completely unpacked it, but I think just not beating myself up so much is maybe the best takeaway from that.
Yeah, not beating yourself up over the breakup because you said that you were able to extract certain things of yourself that you were able to bring into a newer version of yourself. So relationships aren't always all bad. That took me a long time to learn. Good child. It, it took me a long, I was like, oh, it was all bad. Just throw it out.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Everybody's quiet today. No one wants to share their failure and how they wanted to reframe it. I'll share mine. So, like, my business is important to me. I've had my own writing business for about 10 years, I guess now. And I've been trying to do writing coaching with people over and over. I've tried to do that part of my business, and that part has always failed. And I've grown to realize that that part of my business has failed is because it requires more I guess it requires a more mature business mind to be able to handle work with people on writing books and things like that. And I didn't have that at the time. So being a freelance writer where I was working with other clients on shorter things that were, I guess, of less consequence, with other companies, actually was what I needed at the time. So being able to have a certain number of years and doing that, it's like, where you start off in any career, you start off in entry level and you just sort of move your way up. I was learning that when you have your own business, it's sort of the same thing. You have your entry level part of your business, and then as you grow in your business, you take on bigger and higher responsibility. So now I get to do stuff like this. I get to be able to hold space for ladies like you, first thing in the morning or wherever it is that you are in the world, to be able to talk about how you've grown and how you would like to grow, which is a lot different from what I was doing before. So I feel like this part of my business is a lot more meaningful than what I was doing before. So it's not necessarily a failure that my old part of my writing business, because a lot of my clients, because of the changes in the economy were happening, I lost a lot of my clients. And so I was like, well, what am I supposed to do now? So now is the time for this part of my business to come to life. So I'm appreciative of that. There's space for one more, if one more person would like to share. Kathy.
I talk too much, so that's why I try not to say too. Let's try to sit back a little bit. But I appreciate you that Halona, your failure at reframed. My failure reframed goes back many years, back to 1993 through, I don't know, maybe 90, 96, where I failed the bar exam 3 times. And just by 2 points, 1 point, and 3 points. And I never got over that for a while until I got over it. And so I wrote, I was unsuccessful in passing the bar. While I learned that the license was not necessary to succeed in a career in which I found financially rewarding and offered me a sustainable lifestyle that I am now enjoying. So I hated law school. I hated, I found it to be, it was a hard time, and I ended up having one child my last semester of law school, and then 2 years later I had my second child, and I was still working in the legal field, but I soon found that I needed to switch things up if I wasn't going to pass this exam, and so I became a law librarian. And because of that, I worked for some of the largest global law firms and exceeded some people who I was in law school with who had passed the bar. And when I say excelled, is because I was loving what I was doing. And that was that was writing, and I was doing research, which I always loved. I was doing the things that I loved that transferred into me making a lot of money working for these large corporations. And then, later on it gets sour, but I succeeded in that and was rewarded handsomely. And so I when I say that, financially. So I'm able to be sitting here with some savings and
Mhm.
stuff that I got from that. So that's the reframe. So that's my recovery.
Mhm.
That's the resilience. So
Absolutely.
yeah. But it was hard to come up with to talk about that for a long time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because you didn't,
I was dis
did you say that did you complete the bar at some point? Did you
no.
pass the bar? Oh,
Mm-mm,
okay. And so
mm-mm.
you went on to do law research, legal research?
Yeah,
For appropriate?
I became I didn't realize until someone told me that someone was my sister. She said, you could probably do better as a researcher, Kathy, because you love research and writing.
Mhm.
Why don't you go and get your library degree? I didn't, and so I talked to some people who were librarians, and they said, oh yeah, you can do that. You can do that, and you can work for law firms. I became a manager, a director of a whole department in legal research.
Mhm.
So yeah, it turned out okay.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
always does.
it always does. We just think that our failures are so sometimes our failures feel so depleting and
Mhm.
debilitating. Um, and I didn't even like how lawyers have to work.
Mhm.
So I ended up kind of bossing them around. So it's all good.
It worked out for the best. I was
Yeah.
the same way. I was in a PhD program some years
Uh,
ago, and basically I flunked out just because my life was a mess. But when you're in a PhD program, people sort of hold you up to like all these high hopes for you to be able to graduate. And then when you barely make it through half of the program, you feel like a failure. You feel like your whole life has just sort of come to a crumble. And now a lot of those people, including some of my professors, write to me in my inbox talking about the life, the life that I have, and how they wish they had the I guess the space to be able to do what it is that I'm doing, or asking me questions about how I've been able to do it. So you always wind up where you're supposed to be, is what I believe. If you sort of move through what it is um, that your instincts tell you to do.
absolutely. And people say, so you're so you practice? I said, no, I don't practice. Well, I practice non-traditional law.
Mhm.
I'm not practicing law. It's a non-traditional practice of law.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I do. Or I did. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And now you live a great life in Portugal. All right, so last question. We're talking about intuition versus logic. The question is, describe a situation where you followed your intuition despite your logical objections. How did it impact your trust in yourself? Describe a situation where you followed your intuition despite logical objections. How did it impact your trust in yourself? Okay. We're almost close to the end, so if anyone would like to share what they've written,
I'd
I
like
would,
to
yeah,
I'd
sure,
like
go
to share. As I said in my little note, I do have to run. So
ahead.
I'm gonna be real quick. Believe it or not, my intuition, I'm practicing it. I'm doing things like when you drive down the street, you know what I mean? You normally do this, but you have that feeling. Go ahead and make that turn, and come to find out my intuition has been paying off for me. So this instance was the group, the Exodus, this what is it? The
The
summit.
Exodus Summit?
Yes, for the summit.
Mhm.
So financially, logically, I couldn't afford it. I kept on waiting because in the beginning it was like $80 or whatever, and that's when I should have put the money in, but I ended up doing it like a day before it began, so it went up. And I'm like, financially, logically, I cannot do this, but I really, really want. I had an instinct. I was drawn to it, and I said, I really need to do this. So I just went ahead and I followed my instinct. I went ahead and I signed up. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, where do I rob Peter to pay Paul kind of thing going on. And then where I'm working at the firm that I'm working at, I was extra, extra, this a chance for me to make extra money that was no stress on me whatsoever, but it's really easy money for me. So I went ahead and did it. So it kind of just paid off for me to do
Mhm.
this because I wouldn't have found this group. I wouldn't have, there's several things that I would not have been involved in right now. So I'm so glad that I followed my instinct with this. I haven't written in a long time, so you're really getting me back into that.
Mhm.
So it just paid off. So that's my little instinctual story is. So there you go.
Absolutely. I've learned that any money that you spend on yourself is never wasted money.
Definitely. Definitely.
You are always worth the investment.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
May I share?
Yes, Miss Carolyn.
Mhm. My intuition has never failed me. I had to wrestle with the idea of being a single woman for the rest of my life for a few years. Forced relationships had my life in a shambles. The ability to listen more deeply to my soul came from a desire to reimagine my life. Once I understood that I had imagined myself into a lifestyle that didn't fit my destiny, I regrouped and brought the elements of life that were available to me in small doses at first to become more of who I felt I was born to be. My intuition is my best friend. Mhm.
Your intuition is your best friend.
Mhm.
We have time for one more. It's the top of the hour.
May I?
Yes.
So I think the biggest example of when I followed my intuition instead of logic was not going back to the States during the pandemic. I was traveling with my now former partner, and we got stuck, so to speak, in Thailand. And then we broke up, and then I met someone else, and I made the decision not to go back to the States. I wanted to get vaccinated, but there wasn't really a plan in place for foreigners to get vaccinated in Thailand. So that was kind of scary and felt like, oh, I don't know if I'm choosing correctly. But now that I got vaccinated and I met someone and, now it's, 4 years later, there's still so much for me to figure out.
Mhm.
I still think I chose correctly, but I also feel like I have to like recreate my whole life because I quit my job to travel. Then my travel got delayed by a year. that delay then coincided with the beginning of the pandemic. Then I broke up with a partner who I, made all these plans with, and the pandemic happened, and then I met someone else. So now I'm like, now that we've emerged from the pandemic, I feel like I have to figure out where I fit in, who I am. And because it's been like 7 years of like, or 6 years of upheaval. So I don't think my intuition failed me, but it just feels really big what I have to figure out. So I appreciate having this space I appreciate all of y'all sharing so honestly, because it just feels very comforting and soothing. So
Mhm. And so I've learned that there's always something to figure out. If you ever really feel like, okay, Fati, thank you. If you ever feel like the path ahead of you was already been decided, that's probably not where you're supposed to be. Like at least for me, everything always just sort of feels like I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea if this is the right way, but this is what I'm going to choose at this moment. And at this moment, this next step that I'm taking feels good to me at this moment. And I continue on that path until it's time for me to do something else.
Mhm.
So I think that's a very important thing for us to be able to learn how to move with our intuition. So
And Halana, may I
yes.
say this? What
Mhm.
I what I find is as long as you're doing something to build yourself,
Mhm.
without anybody else included in the equation,
Mhm.
not to say you don't care about other people, but to say that you become the focus. You can't go wrong. It's just a win-win-win all around situation. And I just wish I was born knowing this. But
Mhm.
I guess it took the lessons for me to get to this point. And really, it feels not even like life used to feel like a chess game to me now. Now it just
Mhm.
feels like a fun game of volleyball.
I love that analogy. Now it feels like a fun game of volleyball.
Mhm.
I
Wherever
just
the
want
goal is,
to add,
yeah.
I'm so sorry, to just piggyback on what Carolyn said about focusing on self. So often we, or me, thought of being self-focused as perhaps selfish in a different time in my life. But where I am now, I understand the value of being self-focused because that's what moves us to our next. So I just wanted to add that.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Kathy?
Is it? Yeah, I want to say, I work with women who, I always talk about self-care and self awareness, self-observation. And there are some people who push back on that as being selfish.
Mhm.
And the what I had to start doing is looking at the word, and then there was an author who talks about just being on her own quite often. And the ish that she talks about is ish means more of yourself. The self-ish, for any word that has the ish, it's more of that. So if you are a girl and you're girlish, you're more of a girl. Or if you were, boy, he has a boyish nature, he's more of a boy. So understanding the word self-ish made me feel so empowered when I understood what selfishness meant. It is being more of yourself, being, just being big, taking up room, taking up space. So that's the beauty in being selfish. So
Mhm.
wear it across your chest. I am selfish.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can we can probably all relate to people who tried to tell us we were selfish and meant it in a derogatory way. How dare you focus on yourself? How dare you do that? All right. All right, so it's almost 10 minutes past the hour, so we have to close the circle. So ladies, I thank you so much. If it's your first time here, I hope you enjoy the circle enough to be able to come back and join us next week. I would love to have you. We'll have a different topic. What you saw today is in general how the circle works. We meet for an hour every Wednesday, early morning, at least on this type side of the world. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
And for people
Thanks
who
for
are
having-
watching, I record this because I put this on YouTube. For people who are watching the replay, if you would like to be a part of the circle, you are invited to. You can just go to the link in the description and click on the link, and you can put in your name and your email, and you'll be on the email list to participate in the circle. The circle is free, and it will always remain that way. So thank you so much, ladies. Have a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.